Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Active Listening. I'm your host, Alyssa, and today we're embarking on a deep exploration of a truly transformative skill. A skill that sits at the very heart of communication, and most importantly for us, at the core of language mastery. We are talking about the art of being a great listener. This journey today will go far beyond simple tips. We will dissect what it truly means to listen, not just to hear, but to understand, connect, and learn, especially when your goal is to master the English language. Think about a recent conversation you had. Were you fully present? Or was a part of your mind somewhere else? Perhaps you were planning your response, thinking about what you needed to do later, or just waiting for your turn to speak. This is not a criticism. It is the default state for many of us in our busy, modern world. We hear sounds and words, but we often miss the music, the real message being conveyed. For an English learner, this gap between hearing and understanding can be the biggest obstacle to fluency. It can lead to misunderstandings, feelings of frustration, and a plateau in your learning progress. Active listening closes that gap. It turns language from a collection of words into a living, breathing connection with another person. So, what is active listening in its truest sense? It is a conscious decision to give your complete and undivided attention to the speaker. It's an active process, hence the name of our channel, that involves engaging all your senses and your intellect. It's about being a participant, not just a spectator, in the act of communication. We can think of listening existing on different levels. At the most basic level, there is cosmetic listening. This is listening to appear interested. You might be nodding, saying, "uh-huh," and making eye contact, but your mind is a million miles away. You are maintaining the appearance of listening without any real engagement. Below that, there's even just ignoring someone completely. A step up from that is conversational listening. This is the most common type. Here you are engaged, but your primary focus is often on yourself. You listen to find a hook, a place where you can jump in with your own story, your own opinion, or your own advice. You might be thinking, "Oh, that reminds me of the time when I..." While it can lead to enjoyable conversations, it's often a series of alternating monologues rather than a true dialogue. The highest level and our goal today is deep, active listening. This is where you listen to understand. You set aside your own ego, your own agenda, and your own internal chatter to step into the speaker's world. You are listening not just to their words, but to the meaning, the feelings, and the intentions behind those words. This is where true connection happens. And for a language learner, this is where profound learning occurs. The foundation of this deep listening is giving your full and undivided attention. This sounds simple, but it is a discipline. In practice, it means creating a sanctuary for the conversation, even if it's just for a few minutes. Put your phone away. Turn it over so you can't see the screen light up. If you are on your computer, close the unnecessary tabs. Minimize the mental and physical clutter around you. This simple act sends a powerful message to the speaker. You are important. What you are saying matters to me. Pay attention to your body language. Lean in slightly. This non-verbally communicates engagement and interest. Maintain a relaxed but focused posture. Make eye contact. This doesn't mean an intimidating stare, but a gentle, steady gaze that shows you are connected. In many cultures, especially in the English-speaking world, eye contact is a crucial signal of trust and sincerity. Notice how it feels when someone is looking at their phone while you talk to them. It creates a barrier. Your focused attention does the opposite. It builds a bridge. What you want to avoid is fidgeting, looking around the room, or checking the time. These small actions can make the speaker feel that they are boring you or taking up your valuable time, causing them to shut down. However, giving attention is more of a mental challenge than a physical one. It's about taming what we call the internal monologue, that constant voice in our head that is always commenting, judging, and planning. To be a great listener, you must learn to quiet that voice. One technique is to consciously focus on the speaker's words, as if you will be tested on them later. Another is to focus on your breathing for a moment before a conversation begins. A simple inhale and exhale to center yourself and clear your mind. This mental focus is a skill that strengthens with practice, just like a muscle. Once you are fully present, the next layer is showing genuine empathy. Empathy is not the same as sympathy. Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone. For example, "Oh, I'm so sorry you lost your job." Empathy is feeling with someone. It is the ability to understand their feelings from their perspective. It's saying, "That must feel so uncertain and scary. I can understand why you would be worried." Empathy doesn't require you to have had the exact same experience. It only requires you to imagine what that experience must feel like for the other person. You communicate this empathy both non-verbally and verbally. Your facial expression should reflect the tone of the conversation. If they are sharing something exciting, a smile shows you share their joy. If they are sharing something difficult, a concerned and soft expression shows you understand their pain. Verbally, you can use short phrases to validate their feelings. Phrases like, "That sounds incredibly difficult," or "I can see how exciting that must be for you," or "It makes sense that you would feel that way." Notice that these phrases do not offer advice or solutions. They simply acknowledge the emotion. For someone speaking to you, especially in English, which might not be their first language, this validation is incredibly powerful. It makes them feel safe and understood, encouraging them to share more. Now let's move on to the more active techniques. A truly great listener is like a detective. They use tools to gently uncover the full story. One of the most powerful tools is asking potent questions. Many of us default to asking closed questions, questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no. For example, "So you didn't like the presentation?" This closes the door on the conversation. An active listener prefers open-ended questions. These questions invite elaboration and deeper thought. They often start with words like what, how, why, or phrases like "tell me more about," instead of "did you like the presentation?" You could ask, "What were your thoughts on the presentation?" Instead of "Are you worried about the exam?" Try, "How are you feeling about the upcoming exam?" For English learners, asking clarifying questions is a superpower. It shows you are engaged and it helps you learn. Never be afraid to say, "I'm not sure I understand that word. Could you explain it?" Or, "When you say it was a bit over the top, what do you mean by that?" Native speakers are almost always happy to clarify, and it shows you are listening carefully. You can also use probing questions to gently encourage more detail, like, "And what happened after that?" Or, "What do you think is the biggest reason for that?" Another essential technique is paraphrasing and summarizing. This is where you reflect back what you heard the speaker say, but in your own words. This is not about repeating them like a parrot. It's about processing their message and showing them your interpretation of it. The purpose is twofold. First, it confirms your understanding. And second, it gives the speaker a chance to correct any misinterpretations. You can introduce a paraphrase with simple phrases like, "So what I'm hearing you say is," or "It sounds like you're feeling," or "Let me see if I've got this right." You believe that. For example, if your friend says, "I've been working so hard, but my boss never acknowledges it, and now this new project feels impossible." A poor response would be to jump in with advice like, "You should talk to your boss." A great listener would paraphrase first. "So it sounds like you're feeling really unappreciated and overwhelmed by this new project on top of everything else. Can you feel the difference?" The second response validates their feelings and confirms your understanding before anything else. It opens the door for them to say, "Yes, exactly," or, "Well, not so much overwhelmed, but more frustrated." This clarification is crucial for true understanding. Summarizing is similar, but is used for larger chunks of conversation. It's like saying, "Okay, so to recap, the main issues are the budget, the timeline, and the lack of communication with the other team." Is that correct? This is incredibly useful in professional settings and complex discussions. All of these techniques are supported by the foundational quality of patience and the strategic use of silence. Our culture often treats silence as awkward or empty. We rush to fill it. But a great listener understands that silence is not empty. It is full of potential. When a speaker pauses, resist the urge to jump in. They might be gathering their thoughts, searching for the right word, especially true for language learners, or processing a difficult emotion. By remaining quiet and attentive, you give them the space they need. This patient silence can be more encouraging than any words you could offer. It says, "Take your time. I am here. I am listening." It allows the speaker to go deeper and often leads to them sharing more significant insights than they would have if they were rushed. Of course, no one is a perfect listener all the time. We all face barriers to effective listening. Recognizing these barriers is the first step to overcoming them. We can group them into internal and external barriers. External barriers are the things in our environment: the loud cafe, the notifications on our phone, a speaker who talks too quietly or too quickly. The solution to these is often practical. Move to a quieter place, put the phone away, or politely ask the speaker to repeat themselves or speak up. The internal barriers are much more challenging. These exist inside our own minds. One of the biggest is our own internal monologue and judgment. We listen to someone through the filter of our own experiences and beliefs. If we disagree with what they are saying, we might stop listening to their point and start formulating our rebuttal in our head. To overcome this, you must practice intellectual humility. Remind yourself that your goal is to understand their perspective, not to win a debate. Another internal barrier is emotional triggers. A speaker might say something that touches on a past hurt or a strong belief of yours, causing you to have an emotional reaction. This emotion can cloud your ability to listen objectively. When you feel yourself getting triggered, take a mental step back. Acknowledge your emotion. I'm feeling defensive right now. And then consciously refocus on the speaker's words. For English learners, a very specific internal barrier is listener fatigue. Actively listening in a new language requires immense concentration. Your brain is working hard to decode sounds, remember vocabulary, and understand grammar. It is completely normal to feel exhausted after a long conversation. To manage this, be kind to yourself. Start with shorter listening sessions. If you feel your focus drifting, it's okay to politely say, "My brain is getting a bit tired. Could we slow down for a moment?" This honesty is better than pretending to listen when you are no longer processing the information. So, how do we put all of this into action as part of our English learning journey? I want to give you some practical exercises you can do. First, try the 5-minute rule. Find a friend or language partner and ask them to talk about their day for 5 minutes. Your only job is to listen. You cannot interrupt. You cannot share your own story. You can only use nonverbal cues and ask clarifying questions if you are truly lost. It will feel unnatural at first, but it is a powerful exercise in restraining your own ego. Second, use media for analytical listening. The next time you watch a movie or listen to a podcast on English active listening, don't just consume it passively. Take a 5-minute segment. Listen to it once for the general idea. Then listen to it again and write down a 1-sentence summary. Listen a third time, and this time, focus on the speaker's tone. Are they happy, sarcastic, sad, urgent? What specific words or changes in their pitch tell you that? Listen a 4th time and write down any new vocabulary or interesting phrases. This multi-layered listening exercise trains your ear to catch the nuances you would normally miss. Third, practice intentional paraphrasing. In your next conversation in English, make it a goal to paraphrase the other person's main point at least once. Start with, "So, if I'm understanding you correctly?" And then try to restate their idea. This will not only dramatically improve your comprehension, but it will also make your conversation partner feel incredibly heard and respected. It builds rapport like nothing else. In conclusion, becoming a great listener is a lifelong practice, not a destination. It is a commitment to being more present, more empathetic, and more curious. It is about understanding that communication is not just about transmitting information. It is about building connections. For everyone on this channel, mastering active listening is the key that will unlock the next level of your English fluency. It will transform your conversations from a source of anxiety into an opportunity for growth and connection. It will allow you to absorb the language more deeply, understand cultural context more richly, and build relationships more meaningfully. The words are important, but the true language is in the listening. Thank you for joining me today on English Active Listening. I'm your host, Alyssa. Until next time, keep practicing, and more importantly, keep listening.